Hello there, Hidden Hermit. And hey, do you folks want to come to a party? Yeah, we're talking about the Four of Wands today. Okay, so the Four of Wands is the third and final decan in Aries. Here is Aries. Aries is ruled by the Emperor, which is going to be very important. So I'm going to put the Emperor there for the moment. Obviously, Aries is a cardinal fire sign, as instructed by the suit of Wands. Mars is the planetary ruler of Aries. And as I've said before, they get on really, really well. There's a lot of power in these three cards. The Four of Wands, as I've said, is the third decan in Aries, 20 degrees to 30 degrees Aries, which is roughly the 10th, the 11th of April to the 21st of April before the Sun moves into Taurus. Okay, so the imagery here, here's the Waite Smith, and it's a party. It's a party, and this video may be very, very short because this is one of those cards where the associations, the interpretations are pretty much the same everywhere. Here is the Four of Wands and the Waite Smith. You've got the Four Wands that are still planted in the ground as per the 2 and the 3. Now they're covered in wreaths, and in the background you've got some sort of celebration going on. Interestingly, you've also got the tower, and you've got a tower in the background there. Mars, the planetary ruler of Aries, is associated with the tower as well. And as with these three cards here, these are the three decans of Aries, the 2, 3 and 4 of Wands, which are, interestingly, the same sort of colour palette. You can tell that they're three sides to the same weird coin. But yeah, the tower isn't especially a bad thing to be associated with these cards, in my humble opinion. Okay, so, and the third decan is, it's Aries. Where did I put, there's the Emperor. And Venus is the guest planet. Venus is ruled by the Empress. And this is huge. This is huge. The Emperor and the Empress, they're together. It's marvellous. And I'm going to go off on a wee little bit of a tangent right now and bring out some cards from the Night Sun deck. From the awesome Night Sun deck. Here is the Empress. And here is the Emperor. Looking kind of Jesus-y. You have all those Aryan attributes going on with the ram's heads, the scepter, and the Empress here, as you can see up in the corner, is ruled by Venus. And you know, it's implied that the Emperor and the Empress are a couple, and why not? It would be a bit weird if the Emperor woke up and was like, "Oh, hi Empress, how you doing?" Interestingly, just on another a tangent in a tangent, in the Game of Thrones tarot, the Empress is Daenerys and the Emperor is Jon Snow, which this video is being recorded at a point they've just got together, so who knows what's going to happen. Anyway, that's it. That's a tangent 2. We'll get rid of that. But here we have the Empress and the Emperor in the third decan in Aries, the Four of Wands, and in the Night Sun tarot you see these two characters again in the Lovers. There's the Emperor and the Empress, and they're having a wee conflab with, I think it's the Hermit. It could be the Hierophant, although I'm starting to believe that the Hierophant and the Hermit in the Night Sun deck are the same person. But they could very well be getting married, or maybe even getting some relationship counselling. I don't know. But I think it's very, very important that the Emperor and the Empress are associated with the Four of Wands. It's time for a party. Now, some of the keywords associated with the Four of Wands: clarification, milestone, marriage or rite of passage, repose, concord, lovely words, harmony, prosperity, peace, perfected work, increase, beauty, real and lasting celebration, establishment, reward, love, friendship, celebration, strong foundations. Yeah, and well, just party, really. Just a party. Interestingly, now a lot of decks in their little white books will give you reverse meanings or ill-dignified meanings. However, in Arthur Waite, and Arthur Waite is obviously the guy that instructed Pamela Colman Smith on these images, in his pictorial guide to the tarot, he says that the meaning remains unaltered if it's reversed or ill-dignified. And as I say, there are some decks that suggest things like tension, conflict, disagreement, unstable partnership. But I really like the fact that the guy that came up with this deck and the artist who was instructed by him kind of figured that the meanings would be the same, which gives it an absolutely positive vibe, which goes back to the Emperor and the Empress. Now, Venus is not supposed to be doing very well in Aries. However, Venus is Venus. Venus is the goddess of love, abundance, harmony, mothership. Wherever she goes, she brings joy in some sort of way. And I think that's important. I think that is relevant to the fact that the meaning, as instructed by Mr. Arthur Waite, in a Victorian language, in a Victorian accent, I would have thought, a Victorian English accent. I say, oh, chaps, care for a party, jolly good, pip pip. But I like the idea that the reversal meaning, or the ill-dignified meaning, stays the same. So, as usual, we're going to go through some of my decks, just seeing the images in the Four of Wands. And I'm going to go straight in with the After Tarot. Here is the After Tarot, and there's a very similar image. So, whoever got married, or whoever's having a party, are now on a cart. And if I was to grab it, it does look like that very, very similar image. But in the book that comes with the After Tarot, it suggests that the two figures are actually Mars and Venus themselves, or indeed the Emperor and the Empress, which I think is lovely. I think it's lovely. So let's go through some of the Waite-Smith similar images. And like I say, this is going to be really, really quick because there's only a couple of cards that disagree with the interpretation of the Four of Wands. So we'll start with the Mystic Dreamer. And you've got a party. And you've possibly got some sort of marriage or union or, you know, just a really hot date going on. Of course, the Mystic Dreamer wants to throw a moon in there. So there's a moon. There's a raven as well. Again, I don't know what they're trying to get at there, but hey, here's the Game of Thrones tarot, almost identical. Everybody seems at peace. There's no bloodshed in this card, nobody getting eviscerated, no dragons burning people alive. It's a harmonious card. If we look at the Witch's tarot, the party's in full swing in this one. Look at them go. Awesome. The Dreaming Way tarot again suggests some sort of harmony. It's almost as if they're waiting to be married, or you know, you're looking at it from the point of view of a priest or a hierophant, and maybe these two figures are indeed doing that. They look like they're blushing, so maybe they're happy. Again, this same imagery of wreaths in the four planted wands kind of warms your heart, doesn't it? Okay, let's look at the Hermetic decks now. So the full title, as instructed by the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, is the Lord of Perfected Work. And it also suggests, or at least Mr. Crowley suggests, that Venus is in Aries, and it kind of suggests that any work, anything that you've achieved, can't be done without compassion and tenderness and kindness. If you're going to be a tyrannical emperor, if you're going to be a tyrant, then you know, you're not going to be well loved. But Venus is here, sorting everything out and being very, very nice about it too. Now the Kabbalah influence is Chesed, the sphere of mercy in Atziluth, the fiery world of inspiration, and basically that means, you guessed it, party, celebration. Everything's good. Everything is, as it said, perfected work. So incredibly positive. Now, if you look at this image here, you've got your rammed wands. You've also got some geese head here. I don't know why. I'm not sure why. I don't know. Interestingly, in the After Tarot, the Empress, I'm pretty sure there's a goose in it. So no, maybe there's a link there. Maybe that might even have something to do with the fact that the constellation of Aries was once a part of a Egyptian constellation, and it formed the goose's head. Wow, I hadn't even thought about that, but that's amazing. Again, you got Venus, Aries, fiery wands. You still got that element of fire going on. Here's the Golden Dawn Magical Tarot, Ritual Magical Tarot. Again, you've got like hands, they're almost shaking hands, aren't they? You've still got this nice colour palette. If we go over to the top deck though, the colours change somewhat. You've got a bird there, doesn't look like a goose. You've got your ram's head, you've got Venus, you've got Aries. But now you've got this blue kind of vibe going on here. And that is because the court card decan ruler of the Four of Wands is the King of Pentacles. So it's introducing somewhat of an earthy element to the card. It's all been very fiery so far. These are the first 3 cards of the astrological year in Aries, the first 3 decans. This is the 3rd decan, and then we're just about to go into Taurus, which is the fixed earth sign. And this is what the King of Pentacles rules this decan, the 3rd decan of Aries, and the first 2 decans of Taurus. So it's given a sort of a grounded, earthy element to it, which kind of matches well with the idea of celebration, the idea of marriage, the idea of sort of country life, and that idea of completion as well, which is the word that Mr. Crowley associated with the Four of Wands. You've had the will that manifested in the... Sorry, you had the will that was thought up in the Two of Wands. It got put into action in the Three of Wands. And now everything's come good. Everything's come good. Now I'm going to put the King and the top one just in sight over here, just so we can see them, because this idea of grounded, and indeed if you look at the King of Pentacles, he's surrounded by wealth, isn't he? He's surrounded by, I mean, he seems pretty smug and happy. Now the King of Pentacles is, you know, he's a good, trustworthy worker. He can also be a bit dull. But because this is the Four of Wands in Aries with Venus, none of that dullness shines through. We're really looking at the wealth, if you like. And of course, the King of Pentacles here, you've got the Taurus balls on here, just to remind us of the Earth. I'm going to put him up here because he may come back. Who knows? Who knows? Here's the Night Sun. An interesting image. You've got the solid triangle. Triangles, obviously, triangles, what am I talking about? Square, you've got this solid square. Now, squares are obviously associated with the number 4, so that's where that's coming in. But you've got this heart in there, which I believe is the Venus element. Now, again, the Night Sun, some of the pip images are a bit out there, but again, you get this vibe. You get the vibe of solidity and love, and you still got the fiery influence, all that red going on there of Aries. Awesome. We're moving on to the beautiful decks now, and you've obviously already guessed the theme. First of all, here's the Cosmic Tarot. There is a woman having a one-woman party. The Three of Wands in the Cosmic was the seated woman who is in front of her lotus plants. Those lotus plants are still there. They've seemed to have moved. Interestingly, you've got a pyramid. I don't know. You've got a dove of peace there, which is nice. Harmony, peace, there's that vibe going on there. So yeah, that's cool. If we look at Shadowscapes, obviously you've got unicorns having a party, and you know, there are fairies, there's a nice blazing sun, lots of nice pretty flowers. Again, you just get the idea. The ones that are obviously the horns on these unicorn type creatures. Yeah, it's a party. It's a party. If we look at Line Strider, now in the book, in the Line Strider, you got an element of green there as well. It suggests that the Four of Wands is grounded in earthly principles, and things are blossoming. Obviously, you need the earth if you want plants or, you know, life to blossom. So again, we're getting that King of Pentacles, that oncoming Taurus. Informing what the meaning of this card here, which I quite like. Again, you've got the 2 hairs. I think it was the Two of Wands that you had the single hair looking out, making his plans, and now there's 2 of them. And of course, we're still in spring. Hares like to make more hairs. But yeah, you got that element of green in there as well. Lovely. The Wild Unknown. The Wild Unknown book. says you've done it. Again, with the Wild Unknown, it's rather strange imagery. However, it's very, very similar, I think, to the Night Sun, with that sort of that square. Indeed, it's a diamond as well, isn't it? Diamonds are associated with the month of April. I don't know if that's relevant, but, well, I've said it out loud now, so it is. Again, it's a very abstract image, but it's an incredibly positive image. You've got these rays of light. You have that solid structure there, that geometric shape that's solid. So, yeah, that works for me. Here's the fountain. 4 people on the beach playing with lightsabers by the looks of it. But again, it's a party. No doubt about that. Moving on to some of the darker decks. Now, this is pretty out here. But it makes sense once you think about it. This is the Quantum Tarot. And the subtitle of this card is the Electroweak Unified Force. Where the concept of the weak force and the electromagnetic force have been brought to unity. Now, that may be a bit above your head. I hope so. I only barely understand it. But again, all it's suggesting is harmonious unity. On a human level, I think the book says that it means partnership and celebration. Now, there are some human figures in this card. They're doing some hip-hop. Maybe some parkour, but they're clearly enjoying themselves. Excellent. Santa Muerte, one of the more darker decks. However, here you have... it looks like a vendor at a carnival, doesn't it? Selling flowers and bottles of lovely, lush spirit, I'm sure. But of course, you've got the bright flowers. You've got the wands holding up some sort of canopy again as well. That theme from the Waite Smith is recurring. Now, the advice from the dead, as per every card, says, make the most of this moment of stability to fully enjoy and benefit what you have gained. Now, if that's not positive, then I do not know what is. It does also say in the book, the only risk is becoming too attached to material concerns or allowing complacency to slow your progress. So the Santa Muerte is always looking forward to beyond the Four of Wands. And we're having a party, but there's no point talking about the Five of Wands just yet. We have to wait for Leo for that. Deviant Moon. There is still no sense. I mean, they've got their crossed hands, almost like a pagan hand fasting ceremony. The people in this image also appear to be smiling, which is unusual for Deviant Moon. It's a celebration. It's a celebration. Lovely. A couple of curveballs. Here is the Dark Grimoire. The Four of Wands and the Dark Grimoire does also suggest completion, but it does look like they need to get to the top of this kind of rocky mountain until they do. However, the end is in sight for them, so it's not all nastiness and, you know, Cthulhu coming to eat you. The end is in sight, and once they get there, I'm sure, yeah, they'll have a party. There is one obvious curveball, and of course it's the curveball deck. Here's the Archeon. Now, it doesn't suggest anything negative in any way, but it does go in a slightly different bent. Here we have the Four Wands. They're not holding anything up. It's not a canopy. In fact, it looks more like a gate or a window in a wall. But you have a phoenix flying above it. Now, a phoenix is obviously associated with rebirth. And the little quote that comes with this card is, those who saw the phoenix remember well that day. And it suggests things like rebirth and escape, which is very counterintuitive to everything that we've seen so far in all these decks. Dark, pretty, hermetic, Waite Smith, what have you. So it's very, very strange. Very strange. But yeah, so that's the end of spring for us. That's the Four of Wands. We'll be moving on to the material fixed world of Taurus next. The King of Pentacles is going to hang around for a bit longer. But they're the 3 decans in Aries. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed that sort of complete thing there. And of course, thank you ever so much for watching. Please leave a comment. This is the Hidden Hermit. I'm going to go and have another sandwich. Cheers.